Hey, folks, it's Dave here, and we are talking some hockey this afternoon, specifically how I play some of my hockey games. Okay, let me just make sure that everything looks okay because I'm going to have to use this to monitor some things here. Um, and I've been asked by at least one or two listeners of the show, um, how do I go about setting up my hockey lines? And specifically for the people who are not that familiar with hockey. Now, as you know, baseball is probably the simplest. You got your nine guys in the lineup, and pitcher, and boom, that's what you start with. It's so easy, right? And they bat in order. So I'm not going to tell you that. So baseball is the easiest. So sometimes when you're starting to bring in the substitutes, then it can get a little dicey. No pun intended. Um, but baseball is the easiest. Football, you know who the quarterback is and the running backs and the receivers. So those are your skill players. Now, defense gets crazy because you never know who's on defense in football. But for the most part, if you're playing a football game, you want your skill players, and that's what you're concerned about. Then you got basketball. And if you go to basketball reference, basketball is the easiest, I think, because they show you everybody who played in the game and it gives you the starters. So when I play my bank shot basketball, I go right to basketball reference, I find the game I'm playing, and I pull out my 9, 10, or 11 guys, and that's who plays, and it gives you the minutes and the whole bit, and it's beautiful. So basketball is the easiest, I think, of all of them. Now that brings us to hockey. Hockey, they roll out lines, line 1, line 2, line 3, sometimes line 4. So how do you know who's on whose line? Well, the easiest thing would be is if you just know the team. So if you got a team that you followed or follow now and you know who plays with who, it's easy. You just put out those lines. But what if you don't know the team? Or what if it's, I like to play a lot of 70s hockey and I don't know who played with who. I do know some of the Bruins lines, but after that, if they played the Penguins or the Blues or the Red Wings back in the day, I don't know. I don't know who played with who. So here's a little guide that I put together that might help you figure out, who goes with who and what lines work together. So keep in mind with hockey, there's usually 4 lines of forwards and 3 lines of defense. Okay. So you get the left wing, the center, and the right wing. So you got 3 times 4, that's 12. And then on defense, you get 3 times 2 is 6. So that's 18 plus a goalie. Back in the day, though, they didn't dress that many players. So sometimes they only dressed 16 or 17. So they would have 3 full lines of forwards and then maybe 1 or 2 extra. And then on defense, they'd have 5 defense. So you get your first line, your second line, then there's 1 extra guy. And what do you do with that? Well, I mean, do what you want with it, actually. So what I do on the defense, if I only had 5 defensemen, what I would do is I'd have my top line and then my second line. And then that third guy I would just put him on either line and rotate him in with my my top guy. So I'd have line 1, line 2, and then I'd bring out one of the guys from line 1 with the guy from line 3 and give him a couple of shifts. Okay, if he's the 5th defenseman, he's not playing much. But I would just kind of rotate him in somewhere, somehow in the game. Not that big of a deal for defense. But again, it's just always easier if you get the 6 defenseman, line 1, line 2, line 3. 2, 2, and 2. It's nice and easy. You don't always have that, though. If you're trying to play like an as-played lineup, which is what I like to do. If I go to a game, I like to go and find out who played in the game, and those are the guys on my table. And those are the guys I like to play. Now, again, if we go to the forwards, you'll get 3 full lines of forwards, and then again a straggler or 2. So what do you do with line 4? What I like to do is take whatever is open. If the right wing is open on line 4, I bring down the top guy, right wing, and he double shifts. Because I figure in order to get the points for the better guys, they need to play some extra time. What I usually like to do, though, is has my top center play line 1 and line 4 is what I like to do. That's just me. I just feel like the center is the key guy on that, the key cog, your Phil Esposito's, your Wayne Gretzky's, guys like that. So I want Mario Lemieux. So I want to get them extra shifts. So I will have Mario Lemieux play line 1, and then when line 4 comes out, Mario will center line 4. That's kind of how I usually do it. Unless when I look at the game, it has 4 bona fide centers that played in the game, and then I'll have to bring down either one of the wingers to play. So that's the first complication to doing hockey, trying to get an as-played lineup in there, is it wasn't until recently that they allowed enough players to go 4 full lines of offense and 3 full lines of defense. That's the first thing I can talk about there. And then you just got to kind of mix and match the best you can. Now, what do you do with lines 1, 2, 3, and 4? How do you mix that up? Couple different ways you can do it. I know a lot of teams will go line 1, line 2, line 3, line 1, line 2, line 3, and then line 1, line 2, line 4. And that's kind of the rotation that they do. There's different things that they do like that. Sometimes, again, the modern teams, they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 for a while. They'll play all 4 lines for a while, and then the line 4 will stop playing less. The idea is you want to get line 1 out there as much as possible without playing them so much that it's going to skew your stats. And you want line 4 out there a little bit, but you don't want line 4 out there too much. Excuse me. A lot of times, your line 4 guys, at least like with Appa and Hockey Bones, they might have the highest shooting percentage on the team, meaning that when they have the puck and you roll to see if their shot is, quote, in range for a potential goal, they'll have the highest chances of doing that. But does that mean you put them on the first line? No, because if you put them on the first line and they take a bulk of the shots, they're going to be scoring so many goals, it's going to be completely unrealistic. So you want to keep them on that 4th line, and if they get a shot and they get a goal because they would only get a couple of shots a game but would eventually get a goal, that's what they're supposed to be. So you don't want to game the game by saying, oh, look at this guy here, this Joe Schmo. Boy, he's got a way better shooting percentage than Phil Esposito. I'm going to put him on forward on line 1 so I can get mostly goals from him. That's really not how it works. Okay, so how do you determine like that? So again, if you know the line's great, but if you don't, what do you do? Well, here's a couple of things that we can do. So what I'm going to do here is the only way I can do this is by sharing my whole screen because I got things everywhere. So let me do this here. All right, so here's my whole screen. If I start here, okay, this is where I like to go. This is Hockey Reference, hockey-reference.com. This is where I like to start. So if I'm playing this game in 1991 between the Canucks and the Bruins, I'm going to scroll down here, and this is going to tell me everybody that played in the game. So I get 18 skaters and a goalie, and then the Bruins have 18 skaters and a goalie. All right. Now, it doesn't tell you their position, so that's something that you have to figure out. But at least I have a starting point now. So I know who's in net, and I know who skated. A little trick that you can do here, if you're not sure of the lines, you can come over here and you can say, well, I see that Janney scored and Neely assisted, and then Neely scored and Janney assisted. So I'm pretty sure that they played on the same line. Okay, so just by process of deduction, or whatever you want to call it, and then down here again, Neely from Janney and Bork. So if I'm putting together my lines, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have Neely with Janney in this game, probably on line 1. So again, if you want to do things like that, you can kind of cheat with the box score here if you're trying to get them exact. So here's one way you can go. So come here, get your lineups, and then kind of spot check here to see what you might want to put together. Now, Strat and Appa really have some great things to check out as far as helping with the lines. So if you go to the Appa store, okay, and then you click on the shop, so you're at appagames.com/shop, and you click on your hockey, okay, and then you go to your cards and your data, and let's just say we go to, whatever season, 1986, let's say. So now you can buy the season, but you can also get this right here, and it's free. And if you put this in your cart, and you can download it without even putting in a credit card because it's free. They used to just allow you to download the PDF, but now you do have to put it in your cart with the new website. But it is free, no credit card needed, and you can download the roster. Well, what does the roster look like? Well, the roster looks like this right here. So this is actually the 68-69 season. And this gives you a suggestion here on what lines to use with APA. Now, this is for APA, so it's all the APA the guys that are carded, okay? So if somebody wasn't carded, then they're not going to be here. But just to give you an idea, so you see you have the Boston Bruins here. So you have Busick with Esposito and Hodge, Sather with Stanfield and Westfall, Murphy with Sanderson and McKenzie, and then the fourth line, Cashman, Harrison, and Shack. And then you got your extra guys here. And then on your defense, you got Smith and Orr, Ari and Green, and then Doak and Rick Smith. And then your extra guys here if you want to sprinkle them in. So this gives you an idea on how to set up your line. So APA does this, which is kind of neat. So if you're looking for a starting place, I like to go here. No matter what game I'm playing, I like to call up my APA roster and use that as a guideline. So that's my first resource is go to APA Hockey and download the free roster sheet for the season that you want. And no matter what game you use, and this gives you an idea on us. Again, we're talking starting points, okay? Now, if I come back over here, and if I go to this other website, strat-hockey.net, this is another fantastic resource to get your hockey stuff from here. Even if you're not playing Strat, this is some good stuff here. So if I go to my seasons, and let's just say I go to my 70s, and now I have this right here, suggested lines. So 1970-71, there's a whole bunch of resources here that the community has uploaded to this website, and they do a great job here. If you click on suggested lines, now you can download suggested lines. What does that look like? That looks like this. Okay, and this is fantastic. This is something I just discovered. I think I don't know if it was Joe. Maybe it was Joe that said it on the show when we were talking about it. This is a great resource for finding lines. And this is kind of neat. So, again, you got your Busick, Esposito, Hodge. And now this one here shows Cashman with Stanfield and McKenzie instead of Sather. So this is how Strat does it. So, again, no right answer, no wrong answer. It's however you want to set it up. But here's another guide, and it just shows you all the teams from 70-71, and these are suggested lines. This might not be how they work for every game. If somebody's injured or somebody doesn't play, then this is going to change. And that's a tough thing about hockey is that you never, ever know who's playing with who because, it's a long season and you try to stay with the same guys, but you don't always know. But this is another resource here at strat-hockey.net. So I do really like going here and checking that out. So that's another resource. So you get the APA hockey, you got the strat-hockey.net. Now, so there's a couple of line resources. Other things you can do. This is a APA card right here, an APA card, if you will. Okay, you can see over here where it says minutes 26. So that's telling you here that Carlson for San Jose, you're going to try to get him 26 minutes in a game. Okay, 26 out of the 60. So he's going to play a lot of minutes. Now you can see how he's a righty and a lefty. So defensemen tend to play a lot more than the forwards. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in a second. So you're going to try to get him 26 minutes. In a normal game, Strat, APA, Hockey Bones, you're trying to go 2 minutes a shift. And so this guy here would get about 13 shifts. Okay, that's kind of the guideline, if you will. And what else was I going to say here? Let me show you the Hockey Bones here, how that's going to change. So here's Hockey Bones. So as you can see, here's Bobby Orr. Now, Hockey Bones does a little bit different. On the card here, see how that's 15? Okay, that's 15 shifts. So whereas the APA showed you the minutes, this is going to show you the shifts. So you multiply that times 2 because it's 2 minutes a shift, and that's going to get you 30 minutes. So Bobby Orr plays about half the game. But you go up here to Johnny Busick's card, he's got about 9.5 shifts here in his I think this was a 1970-71 card. So he's going to get 18, 19 minutes a game, okay, compared to Bobby Orr's 30. And then if he finds somebody else, like Cliff Carl, he's a winger. He's only going to get 8 shifts a game, so he gets about 16 minutes. So defensemen play more than the forwards, but some cards will actually give you the minutes or the shifts they're supposed to play. So there's another resource. Let's see what else I want to talk about here. Let me get rid of this here. Oh yeah. So we already showed the strat. We already showed the APA. And now as far as how long a shift should be, okay. Oh, this is another thing I want to show you over here. Come over here. Um, so how long should you go on shifts? How long? It's 2 minutes is good. Now I know you're saying, well, nowadays they only go 30 seconds or 45 seconds. Well, do you really want to be swapping cards out every time you flip a card? So in APA, you flip one card or you roll one set of dice and it's a turnover. 30 seconds goes by. Do you really want to be flipping cards and changing lines? You'll be playing all day. Okay, even with hockey bones, you'll be playing all day if you try to go actual line numbers is what I'm getting at, or actual hockey numbers. So the 2 minute rule, even though by today's standards it's a longer shift, and even in the 80s, no one's really going to play 2 minutes. You, in the end of the day, at the end of the period, the numbers work out. It's just not in the exact order that you would get them in a game. So you're not going to play 30 seconds, and then the next guy comes out for 45 seconds, and the next guy comes out for 30 seconds. Again, you'll be changing lines all day. It wouldn't be any fun. So go 2 minutes. Sometimes you even go 4 minutes. Some people go 4 minutes before they change lines, and they figure that, again, at the end of the day, everybody gets their minutes, and that's really all that matters. You're not trying to get everything exactly in order because, again, you'll be wrapping your head around that, or banging your head against the wall trying to make that happen. Okay. The other thing you can do, okay, as far as keeping line numbers here, is I created this right here. Okay. And all this was like a raffle coupon, a raffle ticket thing that I got in Word doc. And I just changed it to offense and then line one. You can see what I did here. And then I printed this out and I shuffle them face down, and then I start flipping them over to see what line comes out. So this is for one period. So this is 2 minutes, right? So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So these are my 20 minutes per period. And these are the lines that come out. As you can see, line one is going to get 4 shifts. Line two is going to get 3. Line 3 gets 2. And line 4 gets 1. And that's kind of how I set it up here. That's kind of, again, loosey-goosey. But I did that for the longest time until I started using the spreadsheets for my Apple Hockey and Hockey Bones. This works pretty well. It really does. You don't necessarily get the line one versus line one matchup to start the game. I'll do that, but I always thought it was boring. Line one, line two, line 3, line 3. And I know that it's done like that a lot of times, but I find it to be very boring. And I thought it was always fun. Like you could go back to back. Maybe line one comes out 3 times in a row. Okay. It's like, well, they only got one more shift for the rest of the period. So they better cash in while they're out here, because these guys, the other team has line one sitting there ready to go at the end of the period. And I always looked at it as like a coach's decision. So the coach decided that he's going to play his best line a lot right now. And then later on, he's going to have to hope that line 3 and 4 will pick up the slack and keep the other team off the board. It's their line one. So I like to do it this way too. When I'm playing pure cards and dice with no helper at all, I did this right here. And again, you don't need a fancy setup like this. You just need to print 10 cards and have, line 1, 2, 3, and 4 on it, and just kind of spread it out something like this. As far as defense goes, it's the same thing. For the defense, it's only 3 lines. So you can see line 1, I have them playing half the period. They have 5 tickets. Line 2 with 3, and then line 3 with 2. And that's kind of how I break up the defense. So this is, I print these out and cut these out, and this is what I use when I'm playing pure cards and dice to help me randomize the line, is what I got here. So those are some resources that I have here. Is there anything else I wanted to show you? So I showed you the cards. I showed you Strat Hockey. I showed you APA. I showed you Hockey Reference. Anything else? No, I think that might be about it. So let me get that out of here, and then we'll come back to this. And how about this? There we go. So that's kind of a quick look here. Hopefully it was kind of quick on how to set up your hockey lines. There's no exact way to do it. Hockey is very difficult. You don't know exactly who's with who and how that all works. But there are some resources that help you do that. If you do get stuck, then some of the cards printed right on the card show you how many minutes or how many shifts they're supposed to have. And you can use that as a guideline. Again, the box scores for the game might show you who's playing with who, so that might help you as well. And if you're playing a game like Hockey Blast, they will tell you where to put certain guys. So you need to come up with your own lines, but they'll tell you the center always goes here, and then the other two forwards, it's like whoever has the highest assist stars go here, the shooting stars go here. Same with the defense. You want your highest assist guy in this slot, and then your highest shooting guy in this slot, and that's how that game's designed. So if you read the rules on Hockey Blast as far as setting it up, that will tell you where to put the guys as far as their shooting rating and their assist rating. As I believe that's how Hockey Blast works. You still got to figure out the lines. And what's hard about the Hockey Blast I found is that if you're looking at the qualities and you're setting up your lines like that, if you're playing yourself, you have the visitors and a home team, and it's, once you set up the visitors, you can look at the home team and manipulate that a little bit. So you might say, well, I don't want to put all these guys in a line because that's overkill, because even these two guys are going to beat this line. So I'm going to put one of my better guys down here. Well, now you're kind of gaming the game. I could never figure out how to do the Hockey Blast one without gaming the game. So I would sometimes set up my lines and like walk away and forget about it and cover them up and then make my other lines just because I didn't want to game the game. But again, I would always probably go back to the APA and use their lines. And then if I didn't like that, then I'd go to Strat and put my lines like that. And then they fall where they may if I'm playing Hockey Blast. But hopefully this helps. Again, as far as changing lines, I suggest every 2 minutes. Again, Hockey Blast is every minute with their game, but with Hockey Blast, you have everybody on the table at once. So it's easier to change them. You just kind of move the peg down on the line. So if you're playing a game like that, or if you have the big Apple board, right, and you have all the cards on the table and you can just move the peg down like you would in Hockey Blast, then if you want to go every minute and make it more realistic, then yeah, absolutely. But if you do the stack method, which is what I like to do, 2 minutes is pretty good. And everybody gets their minutes, and you don't feel like you're overusing somebody or underusing somebody. I think that's what works pretty well. And sometimes I'll keep an eye. Like I said, if I'm not sure of a team, and let's just say I see who played in the game. Like, well, I got a couple guys I'm not really sure. I'll look at their minutes, or I'll look at their shifts, and the higher numbers goes on top, and the lower number goes on the bottom, because they're going to play less minutes, and that's kind of how I do it. Is when I set up the lines. And let me see, anything else that I can think of here? No, just have fun with it, and don't sweat it out too much. Do the best you can when you set up your lines, and don't sweat it out too much. If you only have 5 defensemen and you get 3 lines out there, then you're going to double shift somebody from line 1 most likely. And the same with the forwards. If you don't have a complete line 4, then bring somebody down from line 1 or whatever, or even line 3, whatever you want to do with that. It's up to you. I usually like to double shift the top guys. That's just what I do. Once in a while, depending on the game I'm playing, sometimes I will short a guy or add a guy, meaning that if I have 5D, I'll pick a guy off the bench that didn't play and give me 6D, just so I can have a solid 3 lines on D. It's just easier that way. And once in a while, especially if I'm playing 60s and 70s hockey, I won't put a 4th line out there. Even if guys played, I'll just stick with the 3 lines, 3 forward lines instead of 4. That way there, I don't got to worry about dropping somebody down. And so sometimes I'll add a guy or subtract a guy or 2 just to make everything kind of even and symmetrical. Sometimes I'll even add a couple of guys and make line 4 solid line 4, so I don't have to worry about bringing anybody down and filling out. So again, it's different ways, different things that you want to do, and whatever works for you. Again, ideally, if like I say, if you got the Hockey Blast or the app and you have all the cards on the table, then yeah, go a minute and make it more realistic. But if you're stacking them, it's a lot of work to keep flipping cards every minute. And again, I used to go 4 minutes before the line changes, just because it was so much easier, and the game just moved quicker for me because I wasn't always flipping cards. So that's that. Hopefully this helped. If you have any other tips on how you do in your hockey games and your lines, let me know here. Again, this is something that some people ask me to do. So I'm just showing you the resources I use and how I do it. Not saying that what I'm doing is right, not saying that what I'm doing is the best, but this is how I do it and how I make it work. The other thing that I use is the helpers for when I play Hockey Bones and Apple Hockey. I have the helpers in there, and the helpers actually suggest lines to you. And sometimes I go with those suggestions, and sometimes I override them depending on how I feel the game is going. But I still keep track of how many lines are playing, and it'll subtract them. So I showed you that helper before. And so if I'm playing line one a lot, I'll see those shifts come ticking down. And now it's like, well, I can't play them for a while because I'm going to run out of them, and then I won't be able to have them on the rest of the game. So the spreadsheet kind of keeps you in check, so to speak, as a coach. So you're not cheating and sending out line one all the time, which is what I like. I like to try to keep it as fair as possible. Now, again, if you want to go, match up line 1 and 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3 the whole game, there's nothing wrong with that. I found it to be a little boring. I did. So even now when I play Hockey Blast, I think I'll go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to go 1 here and 3 here, then 2 here and 4 there. And I just try to mix it up once in a while is what I like to do. Now, if you're playing Grant's game, the 49 Quick Decks Hockey, the line that he's got, it does all that for you. And you won't always get 1 versus 1 and 2 versus 2. Every now and then, it'll sprinkle in a 1 versus 4 or a 2 versus 3 or something like that. And that's really kind of fun, is that you don't have to worry about it in his game. The line track that you're on will tell you who to put out there. And that's what makes that game's really fun. That's a very unique feature, too. I don't think any other game that I've played has that feature. And so that's really kind of fun, too. So anyway, I am Dave. Might see you early tonight for a game. I might set up a game of either Apple Hockey Bones or something like that. I am off tonight, but I do want to get off early tonight because I know Play's supposed to be running their Super Bowl preview, I think, tonight around 8 or 9 o'clock. So I want to be off before they get started. So I might jump on with a hockey game, maybe before they come on. So hopefully that's that. Hopefully it helped. Well, hopefully it didn't confuse you. But let me know what you think, and if you have any other ideas, just post them in the comments so we can work together and get some people squared away with hockey. I'm Dave. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.